I've been in the content creation biz for a pretty long time. In fact, I got started with all this all the way back in 2011 when the real Modern Warfare 3 was popping and gaming commentaries were first really coming onto the scene. A beautiful time. But since then, my content has evolved. A lot, from Call of Duty commentaries to vlogs to gaming news and tech reviews, and through all of those evolutions, I've had a lot of microphones. I've had USB mics and XLR setups that range from the Blue Snowball and the Blue Yeti, that's a throwback, all the way to the Audio-Technica AT2020, the Rode Pod mic, the Shure MV7, twice. I sold it and rebought it. And the mic that I settled on for the past couple of years was the Electro Voice RE27 plus the Wave XLR from Elgato. It was a solid combo, and it is a solid combo. But then SteelSeries sent over the Alias Pro for review, a mic that's clearly geared towards the prosumer level streamer and content creator market, and it's a market that a ton of people have been going after over the past couple of years. And this one might be on the pricier side compared to some of the other options that are out there when it comes to streamer audio. But it could also pack more bang for your buck, depending on what you're looking for and how much of a stickler you are with your audio and what you're trying to do here. A lot of variables. Now starting off, let's get into what's in the box. You've got the SteelSeries Alias Pro mic already locked into the stand, which is nice, plus the desktop interface, along with an XLR cable, 2 USB-C cables, and an adapter that's threaded for 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch boom arms. So no matter what arm you're rocking, the Alias Pro is gonna fit on it.
First impressions on the look and feel right out of the gate are solid. It's a good looking mic, and this little underglow on the hub really adds a nice touch to the whole setup. And the entire body of the mic is made of plastic, just like the desk hub, but the desk stand has a steel plate in it to add some weight and stability.
But you do have a nice mesh kind of fabric covering the entire thing that doubles as a pop filter, and then the plastic build does make this mic lighter than something like the Pod mic. And overall, it's a very simple design. You've also got one XLR input on the back, and that's the only input on the mic. And it also does come pre-mounted in a shock mount, so if you bump the mic, it's not going to have quite as bit of a negative impact on your recording or your stream as it might if it was just attached straight to the arm. Now to be clear, if you bump the mic or do any of this, you're still going to be able to hear it shaking, but if you accidentally tap the arm or you're just wiggling it around, it's not going to be as bad as it could be. Also included in the box is the AC adapter. Now, unlike most of the newer microphone interfaces that are out there on the market, like the Wave XLR, the Alias Pro does require some additional power to get that bass up and running, but it takes up not only one outlet on the power strip, but potentially 2 or even 3 outlets depending on where you plug it in, since it comes packing one of the older school wide adapters, and it's kind of a bummer for someone like me that needs as many power outlets as they possibly can get for their setup. But with great power requirements comes great responsibility to deliver some cool features, like an RGB underglow on the front, which is all controlled through SteelSeries GG, and we'll talk about that software a lot more in a second. But before we get into that, while we're on the topic of looks, this mic definitely does look good on the desk. You've got a pretty sleek look for the hub, plus a very minimalistic look on the mic, so when it comes to aesthetics, it checks all of the boxes of a cool modern setup. And yes, the RGB lighting is a nice touch. It's very cool. And we'll talk about the bass in a sec because it does pack a lot of the tech and the way you control a lot of the features, but the Alias Pro microphone itself is a condenser mic that uses 48 volts of phantom power that's delivered by the bass. Now there are tons of videos out there on YouTube that go much more in depth on dynamic mics versus condenser mics, and Podcastage is a great resource if you're looking for more coverage on a ton of different microphones and audio equipment and interfaces, and they lean more towards the professional end. He is the GOAT. Absolutely worth a sub. But the basic answer, at least for the content creator or Twitch streamer level of knowledge, is that condenser mics pick up more noise from around the room to deliver a more natural sound, while dynamic mics deliver a pickup pattern that brings more vocal isolation and ditches some of that room noise that makes more of a broadcast kind of feel. Now picking between dynamic and condenser comes down to your personal preference and your sound and your voice and your setup. You've got a lot of variables that come down to that decision. Are you trying to throw a mic on a desktop and just let it passively capture your vocals, or are you trying to go for that boomy radio style sound? But the Alias Pro is trying to do a little bit of everything for everyone, and a lot of that capability comes down to their software, SteelSeries GG. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the interface for this bass. You've got your power and your power button, plus a line out, an XLR in, and then 2 USB-C ports to match those 2 USB cables that came packed in the box. If you're someone who still rocks a separate streaming PC, or you just want to have a separate input for your music from your laptop, this gets the job done there. And beyond that, you've also got a separate line out if you're running audio into a sound card or a separate PC directly. And then you've also got a headphone jack over here on the left side of the bass. And I'll admit, it did take me a minute to find that because I'm used to the Wave XLR where the headphone jack is just nestled there on the back. back, and I do like the side approach. It cleans up the desk a little bit. But no matter what, one USB-C cable should always be connected to the PC that's running SteelSeries GG, because that is where the magic with this mic happens. I've been reviewing a ton of SteelSeries stuff over the past couple of months. Headsets, speakers, keyboards, but the one thing that almost all of them have in common, at least on the PC side, is that you route them through SteelSeries GG to adjust the settings, control the lighting on each device in tandem with the other devices. Really, you can do just about anything you need to do. But the SteelSeries Alias Pro takes advantage of tons of features in SteelSeries GG that we haven't talked about, so let's dive into it. Sonar is SteelSeries' audio tool, and this is like Elgato Wavelink or the Beacon software or Voicemeeter Banana, where you've got a set of virtual audio inputs that are recognized by Windows as their own individual inputs that you can route stuff to. So what that means in practice is you can route something like Spotify or YouTube to the media group, route whatever game you're playing to the game group, and then use your chat group as your Discord output. And then you can adjust the volume for each group independently for your personal mix versus your stream mix. So let's say you're streaming and you're playing a game and you don't want chat to hear your Discord chat audio. You can mute that output on the stream and keep it playing in your personal mix. Or if you're playing a game and don't want to get a copyright strike from licensed music in the game, you can mute that for the stream while the copyrighted music plays and then kick it back on and you don't have a strike. And then a very cool feature on the Alias Pro is that the larger dial and mute button on the right side of the interface can be customized to be whatever you want. Master audio, streams, game audio, music, anything you want, it's totally up to you. So it gives you more control over your audio, who's hearing what, and how much of it they're hearing at any given time. But one way SteelSeries GG does go the extra mile is by customizing the EQ of each output, whether that's through presets or you taking the time to dial in your EQ to be whatever you want it to be. Whether it's the game or chat or media or aux, you can pick from presets like bass or podcast for the media tab, or different voice presets for chat, or on the game tab they really just kind of go wild, because just like on the Arctis Game Buds, you've got a ton of different profiles for popular games that range from stuff like Warzone and Apex Legends to World of Warcraft and Black Myth Wukong, even X-Defiant. Rest in peace, my sweet prince. And these presets are all put together by the SteelSeries team, including some that they teamed up with the audio departments at the studios that made these games to make. So if you're booting up a specific game and you want to hear footsteps more clearly, or you just want the best possible audio mix, it's probably worth giving some of these presets a shot to see if they work well for you. Of course, if you don't like the presets and still want to dial in on the settings that sound good to you, because everybody's different, then you've got the typical equalizer options with full customization to dial it into exactly where you want it to be. You can adjust the bass, the treble, the presence of voices, and then get even more into the more traditional EQ settings, where you can adjust the gain, tweak the Q factor, and really find the perfect tone for whatever you're playing. On top of that, you've got options for spatial audio plus volume boost and smart volume that either take another pass and crank the volume even higher, or regulate it so the volume is never louder than it needs to be. And then we get to the mic tab, where you've got a lot of the same equalizer features that are available on the other tabs. SteelSeries has 13 presets that range from different vocal types like low pitch and high pitch to presets based on where the mic is in relation to where you're speaking, whether it's on the desk stand or the boom arm. And of course, from there you dial it in based on what's right for your voice, because there's not really a one-size-fits-all when it comes to EQ. And if you're recording something and putting out a YouTube video, you'll probably go in and EQ and tweak it even more. Now, for the purposes of this video, this is what I landed on, and I'll put up a graphic here. I'm not doing any kind of post-processing with the audio or toying around with it. This is raw, what's coming through, going directly into DaVinci Resolve. So this is not edited in any way. But beyond that, you've got a couple of other features here that are almost must-haves when it comes to mic software. Clearcast AI noise cancellation uses AI to remove unwanted sound, and if you don't want to use that, they've also got the more traditional noise reduction, plus a noise gate that you can use to tweak even more unwanted sound out of your mix, and then a compressor that keeps everything regulated. If you've got that box ticked and you yell into the mic, or you start talking really quietly, it levels out your sound so you're never peaking and blowing out people's eardrums or ruining your recording or having to add more time to your edits. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Now, comparing SteelSeries and Sonar to Elgato and Wavelink, they can do the majority of this too, but you might have to do a little bit more tweaking. Elgato has a whole store full of plugins that you can go in and pick from, including equalizers, gates, everything that SteelSeries has here. But the difference is that all of this here is ready right out of the box. And if you already use SteelSeries gear, it's included in the software you already use. But as with anything in that mid-tier prosumer level of the market, things really come down to price and the bang that you get for your buck. The SteelSeries Alias Pro has a $329 MSRP, which can sound kind of steep at first glance, but that also includes your XLR mic, your cables, your bass, and your software that you need to control all of this, all basically ready to go right out of the box. And it's got RGB lighting. I really look at the Alias Pro as a product that does everything that it needs to do. You've got the mic, the bass, and the software that come together to give you more control over how you sound. All the equalizers, the volume, the routing, it's all there. This is a one-stop comprehensive package. But this is really designed for two sets of people. People that are into the aesthetics of their setup and want something that looks good with that underglow and lighting functionality, and then people that are ingrained in the world of SteelSeries with their keyboards and mice and everything that it takes to put together a really good-looking streaming setup, and that also happen to want a condenser mic. And I'm not completely in either of those groups. Listen, I've been around the block when it comes to audio, and I've found what I like, but I've also spent a lot of money to get there. We're talking about this mic that's $500 or more depending on when you find it and where you're buying it, and the Wave XLR that I've spent years dialing in to find the right mix and set of tools that work for me. But that's just what works for me. That is definitely not to say the Alias Pro won't work for you depending on what you want out of your audio setup. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again, the MSRP for this mic and hub combo is $329, but I've seen it down to about $290 on Amazon when I'm editing this right now, which makes it a much better deal. But you've also got a lot of options out there, and for someone who is always shooting for the best of the best when it comes to their audio, I am a dynamic microphone guy through and through, so I'm sticking with my RE27 because it's a broadcast quality mic that works perfectly for me, my voice, the room that I record in, that's basically a lot of drywall and metal. But before I wrap it up, let's do some comparisons, because if you're anything like me, you're probably watching this video looking at a ton of other mics from leading microphone and peripheral companies trying to figure out what's right for you. And as someone who has spent a lot of time doing the same thing and spent a lot of money buying mics through the years, my financial loss is your gain. So let's compare a ton of different mics and you can hear what's right for you. This is a test of the SteelSeries Alias Pro. People order our patties, testing out the SteelSeries Alias Pro condenser microphone for you to listen to and consider for your setup. Now we're testing the Electro Voice RE27 running into the Wave XLR. People order our patties, testing out the Electro Voice RE27 dynamic microphone and Wave XLR combo for you to listen to and consider for your setup. And now we've got a test of the Rode Pod Mic, one of the most affordable dynamic microphones out there. This is $100 running directly into the Wave XLR with the exact same equalizer as the RE27. So just sharing to listen for yourself and consider for your setup. And then you've got the Shure MV7. Now this is the first gen of this with a micro USB cable on the back, which is a little bit outdated now, but they have a new version with USB-C. I'm not using any of that though, so I'm running this through the XLR directly into the Wave XLR with the exact same equalizer settings as the Rode Pod Mic and the RE27. And this does a lot more too. It's got software customization. I've never done a video on it, but this is another one-stop shop kind of deal. And finally, we have the HyperX Quadcast. Now this thing is super sensitive. I've got it turned down all the way, but this is a condenser mic that's in that USB range, no XLR input, but it's another common one that a ton of streamers and content creators look to because it looks neat. It's got a cool aesthetic to it, and then also it sounds pretty good, and it's from a reputable brand. But let me know down below, what do you think about the Alias Pro and all the features that SteelSeries is packing in here for $329? Is this enough to earn a spot on your desk if you're getting into streaming and content creation, or maybe you've been at it for a while and want to give yourself a little upgrade? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you're new here, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop, and I'll catch you on the next one.